Busy weekend. Lots to talk about. Where shall we start, Joe?
I don't know. I think AJ Ngannou probably is the best place to start. That was the start of the weekend.
First thing I want to say, right, before we get into the fight, I appreciate the Saudis and all the money they put into the boxing, but they gotta sort the running of these shows out.
Oh, mate, I fell asleep. I couldn't stay up for it.
I
paid my 20 quid to deserve.
I watched Gav Gwynn's fight. Obviously, got there for Gav. I swelled up and whatever. I watched pretty much the entire main card. Right, you was talking 45 minutes to an hour between fights, and that's not like between like one fight ending and like being that's from like the time the fighters have left the ring to the time they're announcing. You're talking like 45 minutes to an hour. Like in the end, they said that the walkout and was predicted for 11 p.m. 11:20. It was like 10 to 12, and Parker and Zhang were still in the ring waiting for the decision. And I was like, I gotta go to train in the morning. I had to stay. I got up in the morning and watched it then because I paid for it on DAZN. On the you can get it on your phone, can't you?
That's what I did.
So I got up in the morning and watched it. But before we do get into the fight, I just want to say like the running. What is wrong with like the UFC setup where it's just like let's get one fight out, let's have a little 5-minute break, and let's get the next fight in. I don't understand. Like we don't need to see 6 promos between fights for the one fight. We don't for example like. The Nick Ball fight finished. The next fight was Zhang vs Parker. We don't need to see a 20-minute Joshua interview between that.
Nah. You're already there. If you're there, you're already...
Yeah, run the promo for Zhang and Parker and let's get them in there and get on with it. Like, I just feel like you lose the interest of the fans at home by having such a big break. And I noticed it when I went to watch Cordina fight in Cardiff last year. Gavin Gwynn lit the crowd up. The crowd was going fucking bonkers. And then you were talking like, 30 minutes in between Gav's fighting the co-main. The co-main was no disrespect. It was 2 girls in a world title fight, but obviously none of them were well, so the crowd wasn't really interested. And then our fight finished. You're talking like half hour, 45 minutes before Cordina got out. It's like, come on, surely we can do a bit better on not the production, but I don't know on the running of it. Maybe let's
even the people there though must be losing interest because I've been to events before. Unless it's fight after fight, like it's a long night.
I now understand why people don't turn up until the co-main and the main.
Yeah,
because like imagine you wanted to get it to watch Gav's fight, but you also want to watch Joshua's fight. You're talking like I think Gav was on at 6 o'clock or 6:30 maybe. Call it 7. So Gav's on at 7. Joshua and Fury didn't walk out till 12. That's what. 5 hours to do 5 fights. Not even 5 fights, 4 fights really, because Gav's fight was over by 7. But yeah, anyway, main event.
Yeah, I did exactly the same. Well, I woke up like 3 o'clock in the morning and was like, fucking hell, have I missed it? So I ended up watching it then. But
well, look, I think we was all very much aware when that was a possibility that could have happened. I
don't know, I must have been delusional. I didn't think it would happen that
I didn't think it would happen that quick.
Nah.
I thought Joshua would come out, work behind the jab for a couple of rounds, get Francis tired, and then look to take him out sort of like round 6 onwards. And obviously I always thought Francis had the chance of catching him, but you have to I done a little video on YouTube. You have to give full credit to Anthony Joshua. Since he's linked up with Ben Davidson, he's looked unbelievable. He's looked back to himself. It's wild. I'm going to sneeze, I think.
Look out. All right. Can't lose a good sneeze, mate.
No, I know. If you look at... it's weird to say this because it was a 2-round fight, but he was patient, but he was spiteful. So you watch the fight. He didn't rush, did he? He didn't come out looking for... He just took his time, felt his way in. And once he landed that big right hand, he was spiteful from there on in when it was...
Oh, he was seeking the kill, wasn't he?
Once Francis went down... straight away, I thought he's in trouble here because one thing I've always said, you can go back and watch videos that we've done in the past, I've always said Joshua is the best finisher in the heavyweight division. Doesn't mean he's the biggest puncher or the best boxer, but he's the best finisher. When he gets guys hurt, he knows how to get them out of there. And I seen after the second knockdown, Francis got up, and I remember looking like at the screen and thinking he's not there. And you could see that Joshua literally stepped in with his hands on his chest and just digged in with a fucking overhand.
I couldn't believe that shot.
What a shot. Like, and you think my Francis Ngannou has never really been rocked. He's never been put down. Never really locked in like being finished, has he?
No.
And then Joshua have just gone and completely obliterated him.
That was a demolishing shot. Honestly, I didn't think, like, when you look at that was like looking at AJ, like pre-world heavyweight championships. It's like all the pressure's been taken off him and he was just able to perform.
Realistically, if you strip away the names, strip away Anthony Joshua, strip away Francis Ngannou, if you said, right, I've got an Olympic gold medalist who's a 2-time world champion going in against a 2-fight novice here, if you didn't know who they were, that's how you would predict it should look.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's how it should, on paper, that's how it should have looked. I seen, MVP obviously fought on the UFC card, and I listened to an interview with him. I think it was on the MMA Hour, and he made a good point. He said his striking coach said Francis switched to southpaw against Fury a lot, and he got success with it against Fury because when he switched to southpaw, Fury almost backed off because it was a little bit of a shock. I can attest to this. I like to switch to southpaw from time to time. But when you do switch to a stance that's not your natural stance, it's fine to attack with, but fundamentally you're not so defensively sound. And he switched to southpaw against Joshua, and obviously that's not his stance. And Joshua kind of, you could see it straight away, made him pay. And I think that attests to the fact he had 10 rounds of footage to watch him against Fury. He's seen him switching a lot of foot, right, this is there, that is there. But big credit to Ben Davis and his coach. Like, the last 2-3 fights he's done with him, his game planning and his... Like you said, he looks like how he looked on the come-up to his first world title, just starching people out of there.
Yeah, because recently anyway, it seems like it's been more of a mental battle than a physical battle, and he hadn't seemed to be able to switch on in there. But these last two, he's just been able to... He's like skyrocketing his career again. There's no doubt... Well, he's even going to be fighting Usyk or Fury realistically, isn't he? Yeah,
like in my opinion, I think win or lose for Fury, the Fury fight should happen next. It's just whether if Fury loses, you can tie him down to fight AJ straight after. That's a massive fight, probably the biggest fight in British boxing history that you can make. I
wonder how Fury's feeling this week.
He can't be looking at it feeling great about himself, can he?
Unless he knows he underprepared.
I mean, only he will know. You know what I mean? Like, he's come out and said, no, I prepared like I would for anyone. But only he would know, if we're being honest. And only the people in his team would know.
Do you see John Fury and Joshua?
Yeah.
Now, that was a strange one, wasn't
it? I do like Anthony Joshua. And, like, I seen him doing an interview, and he was like, look, John's an old man. He was like, I'm not going to get into a shouting match and, get aggressive with an old man. He's like, I was brought up to respect my elders. And no matter what I think about him or whether I think his opinion's nonsense, I'm never going to get into it. And John Fury kind of like went the other day, he was like, oh, I've always respected AJ and I've always said how good he is. And it's like, yeah, all right, John, I don't know if that's the case. But yeah, look, like you said, Fury or Usyk is going to be next. Do you see him? They asked him about Tyson Fury and he was like, fuck Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
But I think deep down, AJ and Eddie will want Fury to win because that's a big fight there. Obviously, he can do the Usyk fight, but he's lost Usyk twice before. However, recency bias maybe because we haven't seen Usyk in a while, but AJ's looked fucking awesome in the last 2 or 3 fights since working with Ben, albeit, who did he fight last year? Franklin, Helenius, Wallin and Francis. They're not on Usyk's level as a boxer, we know that. Like, we got to be realistic about that. They're not even on Tyson Fury's level as a boxer, but I think you'd be a lot more confident going into either one of those matches now after the last run of form.
Yeah, I agree. And it's mad when you take it back like 18 months, 2 years, you're like, oh, that's it, the Fury AJ fight, there's no interest in that.
Yeah,
no one's going to want to see it. And
when he lost to Usyk the second time, everyone kind of was like, well, what's he doing now? A couple of big money fights like Dillian White and Chisora and that type of thing. He's right back there now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He reminds me of Lennox Lewis, AJ. He reminds me of Lennox Lewis because, like, people forget Lennox Lewis lost his title and, like, lost 1 or 2 fights. And, like, back in the day, it was a different era. Back in the day, it didn't matter if you lost a fight. It was like, right, you'll come again. Whereas now, it's kind of like you lose 2 or 3 fights, they almost write you off in boxing. But he's testament to that, AJ, and he's remained one of the biggest stars. He's kind of gone over the mental demons, it seems like. And, yeah, what a nasty, nasty shot it was. It was one of the most brutal knockouts in a heavyweight fight and you'll see for a long time. And I mean, we've seen some bad ones, haven't we? But the way he folded over, and not here to shit on Ngannou at all, he won the game, didn't he?
He set out. Obviously, he hasn't won the fight, but he's set out to get what he achieved.
He's probably done what 30-40 million since October.
Yeah, he could have fought fucking for 10 years in the UFC now. Couldn't he?
They come out a stat this week. He made more for 2 rounds against Joshua than the entire UFC card combined on the weekend.
Yeah.
So every fighter on that card, you add their purse together, and Francis made more. That's without his sponsorship and everything else. That's just his purse to fight. So Francis Ngannou's won the game. Say what you want about him. He can go back to PFL and fight there. If I was him, I'd stay in boxing. I'd look at a Chisora. I'd look at a Wilder. You know, if he can make 10-15 mil now to fight Wilder, why wouldn't you do it? Or to fight a Joseph Parker, or to fight a Zhang. Yeah, you might take another loss, but look at the money he's making doing it.
What happens if he goes to MMA and loses there?
It's game over.
It's game over.
Yeah, exactly.
He can lose in boxing maybe 1-2 more times, which obviously he doesn't want to do that. But he could do that and still get big payday in MMA.
If he loses in MMA, the lights of the boxing start to dim, don't they? At the minute, he's still considered the best heavyweight on the planet in MMA. So, yeah, I mean, not a great card. It was a good card fight-wise. They just dragged it out a bit too much. We jumped on into UFC 299. The prelims were awesome, but we'll just stick with the main card.
That was a great card.
I can't remember who picked. I definitely picked Peter Yan to win, and that was a great fight. Yan a bit tentative to start when you could see like he kind of had the demons of the Marab fight, getting took down, but really come into his own the second and the third. Pretty much beat Song up on the feet, and you don't see that often, do you, with Song, because he's so explosive and so powerful.
I thought it was going to be the slide of Peter Yan, to be honest. I thought Song was going to go in there and win that fight, and
he looked like he was going to, didn't he? After the first round, he looked awesome after the first round. But Yan, what I liked about Yan, it was a full on MMA performance. Used takedowns to nick the round, used a bit of ground control, stuff we didn't really see from some guys on the card, which we'll get into in a little bit. But after Yan, we had Jack Della, Madalena against Gilbert Burns. That was a brilliant fight. JDM's boxing is so crisp. Like, Gilbert Burns, one of the most powerful guys in the division, but you could see, I think JDM's defense was maybe flustering a bit because he's got such a tight guard. Burns was throwing his usual heavy shots. They wouldn't really have an effect. And
gutted.
It was
for Burns.
I love Gilbert Burns. He's one of my favourite. I think it was 1-1 going into the third, and then Gilbert got the takedown, and I think he controlled him for like 2.5. And I thought, he got him, yeah, Gilbert. He's just gonna ride this round out. And JDM done one of like the maddest stand-up Granby roller skates I've ever seen. I don't even know, watching it back, how he done it. And then to go from there to his feet to land in that knee and finish him. Like, how many times have we ever seen Gilbert Burns finish? And not Kamaru Usman was the last guy, I think. And yeah, what a finish. And come out today that he actually broke his arm, JDM.
Oh, did he?
In the first round. It's like a complete snap in his arm.
When you then consider, because you don't really look at him like a boogeyman in the division like you do Chimaev, and you compare them two fights and you think, you know, there is people out there who could definitely compete in there.
I think with JDM, I think he was on this tear and he was just tight, and then he had kind of two close fights, and he had the guy come in on short notice. We won the decision. He had a close decision win against Kevin Holland. Then you've chucked him in with like the number 3 guy in the world, and he's completely, perm away. So I think the hype train is back on now. I'd love personally to see him fight Ian Gary. I think Shavkat or Bilal are probably going to have the title fight next. I think him and Ian Gary, he's got all the makings of a main event somewhere.
Be a fun fight as well.
Real fun fight, real clash of styles. Ian Gary's more kickboxing, and JDM's obviously got the boxing. Both guys can bang. That's a fight I'd like to see. But yeah, really impressed of him.
Yeah, definitely. So who was up next then? Is
MVP?
MVP, yeah. That was like, you're just sitting waiting for something to happen all fight, aren't
you? Did you see his walkout? The Undertaker walkout? Yeah. That was good. I enjoyed that. I love it when people do something a bit, and he was talking about how he wanted even bigger walkout.
I seen him on Aerial talking about how he wanted to have his brother in the ring, wasn't it?
That would have been pretty cool though.
That would have been cool. I know they don't want to like go down that route too much, do they? But it would have been cool for him because he is that guy with that style. Like, there's not many people who could go and pull that off.
And you want to talk about confidence of a guy. Like, UFC debut, straight in there against number 13 ranked in the world. And, like, people do slate MVP. And I gotta be honest, I was one of them. I thought, I don't... Listening to his interviews, he proper won me over. He's like a genuine nice guy. He's respectful. I think it's just his style, his flash and cockiness. And talk about, like, to come out like that in the UFC debut as your walkout. and then go in there, and this, but he did dominate Kevin Holland. All right, he got topped down once, didn't he? But on the feet, he dominated him.
He didn't know what to do with him in that last round.
Spinning elbows, 1-2s, he was foot tripping him. And to the point where you could visibly see in the third round how frustrated Kevin Holland was. He was exhausted from swinging and missing. Yeah. And he was genuinely frustrated, wasn't he?
Do you see him saying, I got beat by Bellator guy?
Yeah.
After the fact.
I seen him after the first round saying to his corner, yeah, he's a lot faster than we thought he was going to be. Yeah. But no, I was impressed with MVP. I think if they match him right, there's some good fights. I don't want to see him in with a Sean Brady or a Bilal or a Kobe, a guy who's just going to try and wrestle him. There's plenty of good fights. Him and Ian Gary, him and Jack Della. I know we're way away from it, but even someone like him and Leon Edwards in a striking match. There's plenty of good fights there for him, isn't there?
Yeah, I think they need to, not need to, but it would be nice to give him a bit of a fast track, wouldn't it? Because he's been about for a while now. I don't know how old he is.
He's 36, I think, so he's knocking on a bit. And look, him and Leon in the UK would be a massive, massive fight, wouldn't it? But like you said, it's going to kind of need to be like a Pereira, let's fast track him, because obviously if he runs into a guy like Sean Brady, probably just going to end up getting tucked down. And Usman is probably just going to take him down. Bilal Muhammad is just going to try and wrestle him. So like you said, it's got to be like a kind of fast track.
The right fights, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I was impressed with him. He really impressed me. And again, I think it's a case of that's his debut. And now I think the next fight you'll see more of the MVP flair again, with the dancing and the taunting. But all that aside, some of the techniques he used were really, really good. When they really, really good. Not many people do that to Kevin Holland, just purely outstrike him, do they? Wonder Boy be another fight to see him in against, but we'll see what happens with that.
Where is Wonderboy now in the rankings?
He's still up there, I think. He's still about 6 or 7.
So that might be the one to get him to that next level. But he could, that would be close fight, I think. A lot closer than the weekend. I
think it wouldn't necessarily be an exciting fight either. And I heard MVP talk. He said sometimes what you think would be a good fight is not necessarily the case. Like he said, we could well cancel each other out. His style and my style are we could go back to our point scoring days where you see a guy advance and the other point scorer will disengage. He said, so it could be a lot of that. He said, what you think would be a good fight may not necessarily mean.
Yeah, maybe one of them wrestlers wouldn't be a bad shout, because maybe he'll catch him with a knee on the way in.
Yeah. Look, the one thing we know at the UFC is it'll go one of two ways. They could just front to the Sharks and be like, I'll go fight Sean Brady. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Co-main event. Who was the co-main event? Oh, Dustin, the Diamond, called it tonight.
I can't remember.
I called it. I didn't call it, to be fair. I said the Diamond would win by knockout. I didn't say he'd get dominated like he did for the first round. Benoit Saint Denis, though, looked very much like, all right, he got knocked out, but in the first round, he looked very much like he could compete with the best in the division, didn't he? He pretty much stuck it on Poirier for a round, didn't he? Takedowns, back control, even on the feet. He was having success on the feet. Poirier jumping the gilly 95 times.
That was mental. I've seen his interview afterwards. He was loving. He was saying,
he's like, I'll never stop doing it. But the one was close, wasn't it? The one was close, but you would kind of think, right, he's got out the two of them now, maybe I'll stop. But he was like, no.
You tried that with Khabib as well. You got pretty close with Khabib, didn't he?
Yeah. And look, if you're nearly catching Khabib in it, it's worth a go. Yeah. But look, he's a beast, isn't he, Poirier? He's got so much power, and his boxing on the inside is so crisp. That uppercut where he, you see, shielded up with his elbow, and boof, that was the first uppercut, and then he knocked him down with a straight left, and then as soon as he got up by foot, he's in trouble here. And then that right up, when the lead right up, it was so crisp,
short, sharp, wasn't it?
And turns out I didn't know this till this week, but apparently he's actually right-handed. He's a right-handed southpaw. So although his left hand is back, his lead hand is his power hand, which makes sense as to why he absolutely pulverized him with that right hook.
I'd love to. I see that Islam is calling him out for June, isn't it? And I think you could slot him straight in.
I think they will slot him straight in, to be honest. I think it'll obviously depend on how UFC 300 plays out, because you've got Charles and Arman, and you've got Gaethje and Holloway. So if Gaethje wins, they're going to look to slot him in. If Charles wins, they're going to look to slot him in. Same with, but then again, on the other side, the other two, Arman and Holloway, if they win, they could be slotted in. But like you said, I think that's what April the 13th Islam wants to fight early June. I think that's is that the Saudi or the Abu
think it's the
Dhabi
Saudi
card?
one.
So
I think if they book it before they fight,
yeah,
they need to book it don't they?
It's a timing thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a timing thing. I don't know if I think, like you said, if they wait till after UFC 300 and they book Dustin, it'd be uproar because people will argue like Gaethje, Charles, Arman, maybe Holloway even. Like if Holloway beats Gaethje, you kind of want to see him in there, don't you?
Yeah, any of them on that card with a big win.
But I'd have no issue with Dustin going in there with Islam. I feel like stylistically it's not a brilliant fight for him, but he deserves to be in there for the world title. Then I wouldn't argue it. I mean, you can't argue the guy's resume, can you? No,
imagine him coming out with that guillotine on it, Islam, winning the title. That would be class.
And look, when you got power like Dustin Poirier, you got technically you're capable of beating anyone because you only got to land one punch. Do you know what I mean? So
you could probably talk to this a little bit, but he was talking about the depression after like his loss and whatever. I don't know. Did you have like a similar thing, or can you relate to like?
Yeah. If I'm honest, I probably had it more when I was injured. I feel like when I had the loss, it was almost like not I was happy to lose, but it was like a bit of a relief, like a bit of a monkey off my back. It was kind of like there's so much pressure that comes with like being undefeated, and there's so many people like that's the story, like undefeated. And then when I lost, I kind of felt like fucking hell, like the shackles are off. I hadn't lost for like 28 fights, I think it was, and it was kind of as if like people would always say, "Oh, you're gonna cope when you lose," and it's like, well, it's done, and my life feels the same. You know, it wasn't like I didn't go into a deep state of depression. I think for him it was different because he was he's at the pinnacle and got knocked out bad, and I had it more so when I was injured. I could relate to it a bit more when I was injured. You know, like when you feel terrible, and it was tough to hear him say it. And it's weird because you look out like he's kind of the epitome, Dustin, of like a tough man, and he's
100%.
He fights like an hard man. He is the fucking one of the hardest men on the planet, obviously, the way he fights, the way you see his interviews, he's always got like a bee in his bonnet, and like you see him talking about that, and I think a lot of fighters will not be happy to hear it, but I think a lot of people would surprisingly be able to relate to it.
Yeah. I just think like in life, when like shit things happen, like that's what you're supposed to feel. I don't think there's any mask in it. Like there's times where you're going to feel bad.
Yeah.
There's times where you're going to feel good. If you feel bad, you can try and do something about it to feel good. But you can't ignore the fact that there's a reason you're there. Like for you with your injury, like it's completely flipped your life upside down. Of course you're going to feel like that.
Yeah.
Like it would be probably worse if you didn't. It would be weird if you didn't, wouldn't it? So,
yeah, 100%. And like when you look at the magnitude of his loss, like obviously main event in front of like thousands and millions of people. Like you said, it'd be weird if he didn't feel down about it. And like full credit to him coming out and talking about it as well, because you could quite easily bottle it up and not tell no one. And I think it'll help a lot of people sort of going. You know what I mean? I think it'll help a lot of people going forward looking at that, thinking, well, you know, that guy's feeling like it. Of course, it's normal for me to feel like it. And I liked what he said as well. He said something along the lines that he just kind of come to the terms of like, before fighting used to be his entire life, whereas now it's like fight is just something he does so that he can move, that he can have a life. You know what I mean? He's like, he takes it for what it is, and I think sometimes you got to look at that. You got to have that kind of perspective that we got.
Right? Yeah, sorry.
You got to have that kind of perspective that basically, like, yeah, you'd be devastated if you lost. It'd be weird if you wasn't, but obviously at the end of the day, it's not the be all and end all. And that's what I felt when I lost. I was like devastated for 2 days. And I was like, go back home and my life's the same. You know what I mean? Like, my friends and my family, the same people around me, they're not looking at me any different. My teammates, it's like, you know, ultimately life goes on. It's the same with anything. You could lose your job tomorrow, and then in a week's time you'll be alright about it, won't you? Because like
you got to make it work.
You got to make it work. You can't just sit there and dwell on it forever. So yeah, big respect to him really for coming out and talking about it.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially as well, you know, when you got kids, they're the easiest way to get you out of like a rut as well, aren't they? Focus on that.
you gotta have for me, you gotta have fight, and then you gotta have like your house, like your family life. Like you gotta find a way to separate them. Like I'm trying hard now. Like when I go on with the nights, well, not even in the nights, in the days, I barely go on my phone anymore. You know what I mean? I try not to go on my phone if I can. Obviously, if I have a phone call, if I have a text message off my old man or something, I'll you or whatever, I'll try and get back. You know, anything that needs to be attended to. But for the most part, I stay off Facebook and Instagram. I guess like I got, my sister doing my Instagram. You do bits for me, and it's like, it's just so much. My life feels so much more at peace when I'm not constantly on this fucking thing 8 hours a day. Do you know what I mean?
It's no good for you, mate. It's no good for you.
It's not, and I feel so much. This chair's going down again. I feel so much better for like kind of separating away from it. Don't be wrong, we're all guilty of having a scroll now and then, but it became a point where all I was doing was scrolling and whatever. And I feel like the last couple of months I've done a better job of turning it around, especially now. Especially it helped me going into fight camp as well, because it's like I train and like go home and I time my mum. I don't want to be on that. I want to be with the baby and the missus. So we're going on a bit of a tangent here, and yeah,
it's life, isn't it?
That's life, and I think, but like you had Poirier saying something similar. He said he's got to spend this week catching up with people because he's pretty much blanked people for the last 8 weeks, and I think people will understand that like when you're doing kind of what he does, sometimes you're not always gonna get a reply. You're not always gonna get like you was talking about, like you gotta go and like apologize to sponsors and stuff this week because they're trying to like book him for appearances and stuff, and he's just not answering the phone. But I feel like they'll understand, and it's good for me. Like I said, it's good, and I think he's the same. It's good to have your fight life and then your outside life, and sometimes you gotta keep them separate. Yeah,
and you gotta watch, like, because what got you to the dance. Then you get all these sponsors, then you focus on that, then you lose the fights, and then you lose the sponsors. So you've got to focus on,
of course,
on
you've got the middle ground,
haven't
you?
Yeah.
But I mean, main event. Shutout, wasn't it? It was an absolute shutout. Best O'Malley's luck. You can I got something in my throat. You can say what you want about Sean O'Malley and how he dresses, how he acts outside the cage, whatever, but one thing you can't deny anymore is he's a fucking shit hot fighter. Yeah,
and we've all been waiting for him to lose to someone who's a wrestler, who's a this, who's a that, and he's just showed everyone he is world class, isn't he?
His striking, his style is very unorthodox, but it just works for him. Like the way he uses his punch. Like you watch him throw a 1-2, he doesn't necessarily throw it how a boxing coach would tell you to throw it, but he throws it that works for him. He's fast. He digs hard, and his variety of shots is brilliant. You don't know if he's going to kick, knee, punch, low kick, teep, spin kick. And his cardio looked good. Like in all fairness to him, it wasn't like he coasted. He was on the gas, wasn't he, for 5 rounds. For Cheeto, I mean, a little bit disappointed in the terms of like, I think if you've been outstruck for 4 rounds. It is an MMA fight. Surely, like in the 5th round, I know perhaps that's not your game plan, but like, should we try and like get a takedown, try and mix something up a little bit? Like, I feel like sometimes guys get, because everyone wants to see the knockouts now, and the knockouts make the most money. They get suckered into the let's go out there and bang for 5 rounds, and it's kind of like, yeah, for O'Malley, great, it's working. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But for Cheeto, it was kind of like you're 3-4 rounds down, maybe go and mix it up.
Yeah.
But Not discrediting O'Malley. I told Cheeto, I don't know if he was injured or something going in. He looked a little bit sluggish, but then could that have just been a case of O'Malley just completely outperformed him, was just too good on the feet, too good with his timing, too good with his feints. He didn't let him get going at all, did he? I mean, he landed one body shot in the last second of the fight, and that was it.
Don't know how he didn't get the finish with that one knee.
Yeah,
because that was like a shotgun going off, wasn't it?
One thing you can give the Cheeto is he got a chin of steel, haven't he? If that would have finished the rest of the division.
Yeah, tough as old boots, just staying in there for that. I don't know what. I don't think we see the trilogy. I don't think that's going to happen.
Not anytime soon. I think personally we see O'Malley. I don't think we see him fight Poirier. I think we see him. Again, could depend on how the Holloway-Gaethje fight goes. If Holloway loses to Gaethje, I think we see Poirier and Holloway. Poirier and Holloway. And I think we see O'Malley against Merab next.
I think so as well.
Probably, if I had to guess, in June. In the International Fight Week, or in the Sphere, whatever that is, what's that, September. If he beats Merab, you can't deny him, man. Like, I know people will say he's protected and he's not fighting the rest. And yeah, like, to a degree, it should have been Merab in the next. Merab shouldn't have had to fight Cejudo. It should have been Merab against O'Malley. But that's ultimately what's going to happen next. I'm trying to think, is any other wrestlers in the division?
Well, like Aljo, let's be honest, he was like pretty much touted as the best.
Yeah.
Wasn't he? And he beat him, so...
I think Merab brings a different style, though. Like, I don't think Merab is going to stand off him at all. I think Merab is very much going to just be in his face from the off. But obviously he runs the risk then of, like, Maraba's been caught in the past and rocked, and he's been rocked by Cejudo in his last fight, and I think O'Malley's a different breed power-wise to Cejudo. Yeah. He's going to have a different selection of shots. I don't think it's as straightforward a fight as everyone thinks. I think Merab's just going to go out there and do to O'Malley what he done to Peter Yan. But he could well do that. But also, he could also go out there and get starched in a round. It's one of them. That's the fight to do in if we're going to be real. I'm just trying to... Peter Yan's obviously a rematch that could happen if he strings together a couple of wins. Who else we got in the division? I mean, it's pretty tied up at the minute, isn't it? So
there's nothing really that stands out, is there? And you think, right, that's the next one after Merab.
I'm going to pull up the top 15 now. But like you said, the top 5 are almost...
Sandhagen?
Sandhagen, yeah. No, that's a good fight. What was his last fight? He beat Cheetah on his last fight, didn't he, Sandhagen? Yeah, so you got Aljo's still in there. Obviously, he's gone up there. He'll be out now when he fights at featherweight. So Peter Yan is 4th. So, I mean, Peter Yan gets another win. They could well rematch him in Sandhagen, perhaps. Or do they do Peter Yan against Cejudo, Peter Yan against Marlon Vera, and then try and push him on from there? Obviously, do you know who's a little dark horse that could well be in for a shout? Is Davison Figueiredo.
Yeah, no, that's a shout.
He's just gone to rank 8th. He's fighting Cody next. If he beats Cody, which I think he will, there's a storyline there.
When are they fighting? 300?
300, yeah, they're opening the card. One guy to watch out for as well is Umar Nurmagomedov. I know he hasn't. His last fight wasn't against anyone who's ranked, but I feel like for him, they're kind of struggling to match him up. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him against a Peter Yan next, perhaps, and then they move him on. Obviously, he's got a big following in the Middle East, being Khabib's cousin or whatever. You got guys in the top 15 like Martinez, Batista, Kyler Phillips. They're not near a title shot yet, are they? So it's most likely going to be Merab, and then they look to probably do Peter Yan or Umar or Cody. What's his name? Corey, I would guess.
Corey, yeah.
But look, you cannot knock.
No. Does Corey deserve a title shot where he's at now? I would say he's not far away, is he?
He beat Cheeto. I mean, who did he beat before Cheeto?
Song, was it?
Yeah, so he's on two. Yeah, you could argue. I mean, they're gonna do Merab next, and but you could. So which likely means they're probably gonna do a Peter Yan and Corey. Although that fight of that one, they're gonna do an Umar and Corey, perhaps. I don't know, but at the minute, O'Malley's in charge, isn't he? He gets Merab out the way. If he gets Merab out the way, beats Merab, he's kind of running the division. Then he can pick and choose. I'll fight him next. I'll give him a shot. You know what I mean? Where he looks at, I think he'll reign for a long time. I gotta be honest, especially if he can get through Merab.
Yeah. We haven't talked much about your fight.
No, really, we haven't.
Is it announced? Is it announced properly yet? Or is it kind of...
I think so.
Are they not...
It's not. They haven't done the poster or nothing, but I feel like it's everywhere. It's everywhere online. So, yeah, no. What are we? 7 weeks out now this weekend. Brazil. Fighting a Brazilian in Brazil. So I'm not going to be very well liked out there, but there you go. That's life. I'm very much looking forward to it. I feel great in training at the minute. I feel like it's weird because I feel a hell of a lot different than I felt in the last camp against when I was training for Mac one, and I felt good then. I just feel like I've maybe grown into the frame a little bit more. I've put a little bit more muscle on, but I feel a little bit leaner as well, if that makes sense. Like I think
you look your face. You look leaner than you did. Like
I'm a lot. So. The weight I am currently at 7 weeks out, I kind of wasn't this weight till about probably 3 weeks out last time. But I'm carrying a lot more muscle mass now and feeling stronger. My sparring rounds are starting to come together. My running times are coming down, so I know my fitness is getting there. Not where I want to be yet, do you know what I mean? But we got 7 weeks. And the beauty of this fight is that I've known about it for about 14 weeks by the time the fight comes. So I've had a good... This is kind of like the first proper week of camp, like do like an 8-week intense, but I've kind of had like a good 6-week pre-camp, and now I'm starting to sharpen and that. I've got my weight in a good space now where I can really focus on like my sparring sessions and fueling them and stuff. But yeah, I feel brilliant. I mean, real tough opponent. He's on a good tear. He's on a 3 fight win streak or 4 fight win streak in the UFC. Finished all of his wins. Got some good performances. Big puncher. Strong guy, but it's a perfect chance for me to beat him and kind of, because he's on the verge of being ranked. I think a lot of people expected him to have a ranked opponent next, whereas I think if I win this in good fashion and do it in his backyard, it puts me in a good spot. But, you know, no personal beef or disrespect towards him. Like with Mark, I don't really like the guy. He was a bit of a cock, but
he's posting all sorts of shit.
Yeah, but this guy's, you know, he's a real fighter. You know, he's a tough guy, and he's got a lot of good skills, and a guy who you've got to mind your P's and Q's with. Do you know what I mean? He's a big puncher, and that type of fight excites me because I know that if I switch off for 1 minute and he lands a big punch, could well put me up fucking shit street. Do you know what I mean? But I also feel like when I fight those type of guys in the past, that's when I've been the most switched on and put on my best performances. And you know, I'm feeling good. The coaches what's it called? Implementing little things that are starting to click for me in sparring. So yeah, feeling good. Sorry to waffle on a little bit, but I'm sure we'll get into it a bit more closer to the time, obviously. But I'm very much looking forward to it. Not looking forward to the 12-hour flight to Brazil, but I'm sure we'll be fine once we're out there.
Many Welsh going over to Brazil?
I don't know. To be fair, a couple of lads who train with me at the gym, Daryl, Dave, Jeff, they've done trips to Rio in the past. Dave is friendly with a Brazilian guy who's got a gym out there. Dave's spent time in Brazil in the past with work. So they've all done like 3 or 4 trips over like the last 2 years, and they were going to go in June. They had a trip booked for June, and I think they tried to see if they could make it work so they could come watch the fight, but I don't think it's happening now. I told them, look, I'll sort out some tickets if you do come, but, you know, come at your own risk. But apparently Rio's not too bad, like in the middle. Apparently, you know, I know Brazil gets a rough rap, like Sao Paulo was pretty rough and the favelas and stuff. I think as long as you're in central Rio, you're all right. Put it this way, we won't be venturing far from the hotel.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Especially not with a Welsh flag wrapped around you.
You spot me a while off, I'll be the palest man in Brazil. If you like, he's not from around here.
You'll have to take a couple of trips to Tantastic before you go or something.
Oh, Mum been trying to get me on the sunbeds, but I'm like, on my message, she's like, come on, let's have a couple of sunbeds. I'm like, I kind of thought, yeah, shall I have a couple? And I thought, oh, what's the point? Everyone will just know anyway if I win the tan. But he's been on the sunbed, so yeah, I'll leave that for everyone else.
Yeah, is Jabatan USADA friendly or?
I'll have to look into it. I'll have to give Novinsky a call up.
Yeah, fucking hell. Right, class. Happy days.
Job done. We haven't got no fights this weekend, I don't think, have we?
Not that I know of.
No, probably. Well, the next big one now is 300, but that's a little bit of time away. Yeah, we're wrapped up. We'll try and get a guest in. We're working on a guest, and we just locking him down. He's a bit of a he's a bit of a boy, so he's trying to get him locked down. I know my old man's keen to come back on and break some fights down as well. So stay tuned. I hope you're enjoying the breakdowns. Let us know in the comments anything, you know, next week. We're obviously got no fights to discuss. If there's anything you want us to go over, anything you want to do, vlog coming soon as well. We've done some filming, so we shouldn't be too long before we get that out. Like, share, subscribe, guys. Really does help us, and as always, we appreciate everyone's support, and the boys keep on plugging away.
Let's go.